at some point we are going to have to do a whole show about how good this show sounds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot, the number 8-9 local news podcast in California.
7.5.
According to somebody who wants us to give them money. You could find this on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And you can support this project at echoplexmedia.com. Click the support link at the top of the website there, and it'll take you to some ways to support us. And real quick, podcast listeners, live viewers, go to your favorite podcatcher and search for a show called Used to Be a Spy. There's a trailer out for that show already, and our first episode will be dropping in May. That'll be a rewatch podcast of the fabulous, amazing USA television program, Burn Notice, where at one time characters were welcome, and boy howdy were there a lot of fucking characters in that show. So make sure you follow that. We'll be having the councilman on. HK will be coming on. The media wench will come on sometimes. I'll make her watch that. And we'll have other streamers who are friends of the show. I believe we'll be having Justin Freakin on trying to get Homozygote on. We'll see who we can get on. Maybe Globus the Elder, possibly Rhizome. We'll be trying to get friends of ours, people who raid this channel foolishly. Maybe No Comment Chick will come on. It should be a lot of fun. And that, again, coming in May, we're going to be trying to do at least 2 episodes a month. If we can squeeze in more, that'll be fantastic. That won't be a live show. And yeah, that's it. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr.
And this is the Councilman. You can find me on daddy duty this week because the good wife is out of town. So if Bad Baby just comes barging in here in a second, blame it on Tita because she's watching her right now.
Oh,
so,
is that the auntie?
That's auntie, right? In Espanol Filipino dialect of something like that. I don't know. I'm white. I don't know anything about this shit, so I just call her auntie. But yeah, I call her babysitter tonight, so I appreciate the support. Thank you, Auntie, if you are watching or listening to this later. And welcome, listener and viewer. We're excited to get started with the 7.5 best, podcast in California about local news. Very, very niche, very niche. But I'm going to bump that up. I'm going to tell like 5 friends this week, and that'll bump us up to number 5 probably. We'll see. Very good, very good. Send that guy $1. See if he bumps us up. Right. Or I'll just what I'll do is I'll just open up all of our computers and log in on all of them on different accounts, right, and watch, and just it'll increase our viewership tenfold. Yeah, that's really weird though, because the Plex, which has like a much bigger audience, charts number 99 in the conspiracy related podcast. Hey, you're top 100, and there's got to be a crap ton more conspiracy related podcasts nationwide than there are local news podcasts in California. So kudos to you. And the one that does actual numbers doesn't chart anywhere on that guy's fucking weird website. So there you go, right? Was that IDT? What is that? Yeah, it's Intellectual Dollar Tree. That's the one that does numbers. So that makes sense. Well, definitely everyone tune in for all of the wonderful productions here on Echoplex Media. And please, as producer Dave said, support. This does not get done without your dollars. So that's right. Make it happen. That's right. If I can do it, you can too. If I can do it, you can too. I give monthly, and if I can afford to on my broke ass, unemployed, baby daddy budget, as you can see the large S that I live in. I don't blur my background, so you can see the mess that I live in. If I can afford to do it, you can too. So please support this wonderful network. Yep. So what do we got for leading off? Good news. So when we last left you 2 weeks ago here on Downballot, we had just opened up the results, the first round of results from the Oakland mayor's race to replace Sheng Tao. And it was pretty much between Barbara Lee and Lauren Taylor, former city council member, and Barbara Lee, former congresswoman. And at first glance and first count, Lauren Taylor had a lead and was looking pretty good, but both camps were very humble and patient and calm. And Barbara Lee looked like she had a good party regardless. So we had to wait a few days to find out the final results. And wouldn't you know it, things reversed themselves. And we got a new mayor in Oakland, and her name is Barbara Lee. We're going to learn more about it.
There's an apparent winner in the Oakland mayor's race today. Former Congresswoman Barbara Lee is now mayor-elect. Lauren Taylor called her this morning.
Shit, that guy's the next mayor of Oakland. Look at that guy.
Yeah, right, he's ready to go when the recall comes.
To be certified, but Lee has more than 52% of the votes. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard says Lee is excited to get to work despite the challenges that Oakland is now facing.
Oakland Mayor-elect Barbara Lee appearing victorious at a community Easter event in East Oakland, thanking voters.
And so I just stopped by here today to say thank you, first of all. And we love Oakland, right? And we love life in Oakland, right?
The former East Bay Congresswoman defeating former Oakland City Council member Lauren Taylor in a tight race. Taylor calling Lee Saturday to congratulate her and concede. In a statement, Taylor saying, "I pray that Mayor-elect Lee fulfills her commitment to unify Oakland by authentically engaging the 47% of Oaklanders who voted for me and who want..."
Oh, you asshole. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Right? I mean, it's one thing when you're Barbara Lee and you're like, and you know what? To the 47% of people who voted for my opponent, I am here for you too, right? That's leadership and genuine leadership. This is just like sour grapes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Not a good look.
Shut the fuck
Not a good
up.
look.
Go run for mayor in San Jose, you dumb fuck.
Lee, who is 78, says she knows the job ahead won't be easy, from reducing crime to dealing with the city's budget deficit.
We're going in with the majority of the city council members working together to move our city forward.
The mayor-elect says she has 10 priorities for the first 90 days in office.
Public safety, meeting with our police chief, meeting with our department heads, our city administrator, really looking at all of the issues, our unsheltered population, how we're going to move forward with economic development.
Lee is taking the job after the recall of former Oakland Mayor Shang Tao, who faces federal corruption charges. Lee is slated to serve as mayor until the next election in 2026. Interim Mayor Kevin Jenkins says it's time to move the city forward.
And it's time to turn the page. I think the Congresswoman...
God, every time I've seen him, I'm like, fuck, man, he should have run. He seems good.
Offers us a chance to turn
maybe next time.
on the last administration.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I won't wish this job on anybody right now. There's a lot of things that need to be resolved in Oakland, and I think she can handle it.
Lee could take office in mid to late May after the official vote count is certified. In Oakland, Cornell Bernard, ABC 7 News.
Man, that guy, dude. Why the fuck did he say, oh, you should engage with the people who want fucking pragmatic results driven? It's like, shut the fuck up. What the fuck do you think she wants, dude? What the fuck?
The campaign's over. Stop messaging. Like, congratulate her. And yeah, say like, I hope that she'll be a great mayor and hope she gets a lot of good things done because our city, I love our city and that's why I ran, right? And I want our city to succeed. I don't want her to fail. I don't want her to succeed to fail. So I'll be there to support you too, right? Like I will be there to bring all those 47% of people to help you, right, in your agenda. That's really the message. It's not like, well, I hope my opponent will engage with my supporters.
Well, it wasn't so much that, it was that because they want pragmatic results.
Yeah, it was that you're right. That extra
that
bit
Wednesday
of message,
show
right?
bullshit, right? It was that Wednesday show bullshit.
That little blend of the message, right? Like had to get that last little jab in, right? Like we'll cover it in a second in San Jose, but it's very similar to his supporter, Mayor Ed 209. How do you feel, Producer Dave, as a resident of the town about your new mayor?
I think I wish somebody younger would have been like tacking to that guy's left, but the flip side and the reason that I ended up supporting her was that she didn't seem like she belonged as an interview guest on the fucking Sam Harris podcast, for one. And then another thing is like, she's got connections and she can get shit done. And like, I know that's like a shitty way to have to do politics for your city, but it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I also, with her age, I imagine she'll probably do one term and be out. And then we'll get like 2 fresh candidates after that. So that'd probably be good. All in all, it seems good for Oakland.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure she'll run again next year after the short term's over. But yeah, I do agree with you. Kevin Jenkins looks like the future of Oakland, and I'm sure that he relished this opportunity to get out there in that role, right, in that executive role, and get on the news and be seen as that kind of person. So that's really all it takes in a lot of local races is that name ID, that visual ID, the knowledge that this person has done the things and has the experience to be the leader that I need them to be, because I don't have the time to go to City Hall and do that job, right? So that's how voters think. I think a lot of times, no matter what your values are, it's just like, do I trust this person to do a good job? And I think at the end of the day, they trusted Barbara Lee more than they trusted Lauren Taylor. But it's not a huge divide. It's not a huge margin of victory. But in local politics, 5 points is a pretty substantial margin, frankly. So I don't want to say she has a mandate, but it's good to see that she's got some backing out there. I just wish that her handlers were better on figuring out the audio when she was going to do a news hit while there was a rally going on literally like next to them. They might have wanted to like move or ask the guys to stop with the bullhorn for just 5 seconds so she could talk to the press. But that's just me.
That's the way it goes though. There's also the flip side of that is where it might seem like good if there's like a party going on at your thing and people are having a good time.
Right.
So
and you weren't planning to do a press conference, right? It's just materialized because the press showed up at this event and you were there, right? And just sort of I'm sure it was more impromptu. So yeah, no, it's not a bad look at all. Just for being able to hear what she's saying. But then again, she's saying all the things, and now it's time for action. So they've been talking a lot. So we've got 100 days and then top 10 priorities. Let's go. And you're right. I think Barbara Lee, with her connections and her background and her network, is going to be more apt to get those things done quickly and get the city, whatever you want to call it, back on track, or get the big problems handled more quickly than someone who's not as well regarded or well known. And I know that Lauren Taylor, for a fact, had some allegiances and alliances that he built up through the recall and then to try to get elected with folks who are just not necessarily the most well thought of folks in Oakland, shall we say?
Yeah.
So it was going to be a challenge for him, given that background, to get things moving. So I think she can come in instantly and have credibility with the council. She can have credibility with the city staff because because she's been in office for so long and had to work with Washington, which is even more intractable than Oakland as far as institutional problems. So I'm hopeful for her, and I'm glad that we don't have Mayor Ed 211. That's all. That's what I'm really glad about.
She'd be able to get even more done if she was a member of a political party that was like fucking useful.
Right, that knew how to message and support their brand and yeah, all the things, and find good candidates generally.
Was
so
comfortable with the acquisition and exercise of political power, that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, if we had that kind of a party, Barbara Lee wouldn't have had to run. Frankly, there would have been a bitter pipeline. There would have been other people from her lane, right? Younger people, right, who were prepared to take on the role, and we're just not. We do not do a good enough job of. I'm saying this is we as a Democratic state delegate. The good wife is very, very, very much engaged at the local and state level with our party, and we know from an inside out perspective that they've got their heads up their proverbial asses a lot of the time, and it's mostly just political infighting and nothing being done to support the brand and support new candidates, fresh blood, the pipeline. Turning out voters, all of the things that you need to do to win elections and look forward, they're not doing. They're just sitting on, it's just like momentum, right? There's no pivot, there's no change. It's just like, oh, well, we lost that one, but it was because people didn't turn out or because of this thing or the other thing. It wasn't anything we did, and it's not like they're solely responsible, but they're kind of like abdicating responsibility in a way for Kamala and a lot of other things. And it just doesn't hold water because the party does need to step up. That's why you have a political party. There's a reason why Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat, right? When that guy is the most staunch independent you will ever want to meet, right? And almost like oppose physically to, like, has a physical aversion probably to political parties. But he ran as a Democrat because the Democratic Party has an infrastructure that you need to win a national election. But if they are not backing that up, then you end up with failure, unfortunately.
Embarrassing failure.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just failure, but elections have consequences, as we're seeing, right? So every one of those failures is not just like the failure at the ballot box. That's the loss of the next 4 years or 2 years of governing, right? And being and could not just an inability of progressives and Democrats to govern the way they want to, but also just having to face something like we're seeing now, right? Which is a complete reversal and just dismantling of government. At least at the federal level. So elections have consequences, and both parties, it would behoove them to. The Republicans kind of figured it out, right? They're like, this guy is a fucking, the president. This guy's an asshole. He's horrible. He's a disgusting human being. But you know what? He's our best shot, and he's going to do the things we want to do. So we're gonna unify around this guy, and it worked, right? And I don't see Democrats really. Everyone just infights and has their own little squabbles, and no one's really stepping up to be the big kid and say, look, let's get together. Let's win this shit. Follow,
We're going to move on to Downballot / Recall Watch, and we got the results of a San Jose election. And this is not a great story. I guess congratulations to the winner. I wish you would have won an election under better circumstances, whoever the fuck you are. I don't know.
But yeah, let's learn about what happened in the District 3 special election. There was a clear winner in the primary who's going to the runoff. But then as we brought up on Downballot a couple weeks ago, the second and third place once again in Santa Clara County comes down to a recount because it was so tight. So we'll learn about what the result of that recount was right here.
They counted, then counted again. Over the past few days, voting officials recounted every single ballot in the San Jose City Council District 3 race. It's a critical race for a district that will represent much of downtown San Jose. This race would determine which two candidates will face each other in a runoff, and both the count and recount showed the same thing. Planning Commission Chair Anthony Tordios beat out the mayor's chief of staff, Matthew Quevedo, for second place by just 6 votes. Quevedo sentenced.
I'd be embarrassed if I only beat that guy by 6 votes.
The two candidates headed for a runoff.
I'd be embarrassed if I had that beard.
While the margin is small, the result is now clear. Once again, we see the clear truth of that old saying, every vote counts. I talked with Tordillos today about the tight finish.
We saw an incredibly close race, one vote up, one vote down throughout the past 2 weeks. I mean,
I'm voting for him. I don't know about you. I don't live there. But hi. Hi, how you doing?
He's already married, got a hubby.
Chavez Lopez in a June 24th runoff.
So we're feeling super optimistic. I mean, we knew that we were going into the runoff some time ago, so we've been continuing to focus on the race ahead.
Both candidates say they're excited to get back to canvassing and spreading their message.
They're talking to more folks at the doors.
You know what's crazy is I know exactly what fucking like pub he was in right there.
Oh, sure.
He's in the Duke. He was at the Duke.
Oh, there you go. This is his house behind him.
Folks who may have supported other candidates in the first round.
We are most acutely impacted by a lot of these issues, especially around homelessness and housing. So District 3 residents are wise and they want to have solutions that ultimately are going to work.
Ballots will be sent out for that June runoff in a month. In San Jose, Ian Cole, NBC Bay Area News.
So what do you think's going on here? Because so my understanding is that neither of these, the two that are going to hit the runoff, are from, like, we'd say, the Mahan wing of San Jose politics.
That is correct.
So it's going to be a little more, I guess, a little bit bigger question where the third place candidates' voters might go.
Yeah, I mean, in the bottom line here, we're going to see, I mean, internally within the Democratic Party endorsed both the candidates who are in the runoff, so they will be pretty much neutralized. Most of the labor contingent, the labor groups, organizations, South Bay Labor Council, have thrown in with Gabby. So that's pretty much her lane right now. There is the
but that means homeboy has to tack to the center, like, to take the other lane. But it doesn't seem like, from what little I've learned about him, that he would do that, because that's not, they would be contradictory to his messaging during the primary.
Well, and I don't frankly think he has to. I think that he's already built a brand and a message around him being the independent candidate. He's not, and he wasn't supported by either side special interest, like either the labor or the Chamber of Commerce, business, whatever you want to call it, Mahan side. They were pretty much attacking each other between Matt Quevedo and Gabby, because most pundits and most people figured that would be your runoff anyway, and that they were the most viable candidates. So a lot of investment happened in both of those candidates. And it obviously did not help Quevedo as much. But Anthony,
is it that Mahan stink, or is it like aesthetics? And I don't mean to be like shitty about, like, I don't like talking bad about the way people look, but like he even just his choice of the way to present himself, like a guy like that, like your beard, like you and I look okay with a beard because, like, it's kind of thick, but that guy, it's sort of stringy, right? So you shave it, right? If you're that guy.
And if I took off my mustache and just made it like a mutton chop, I wouldn't like that look either, frankly, on me. But yes and yes, it's both. Okay, so yes, aesthetics always play a role, whether it's national, state, or local politics. People like good-looking people. That's just how it is.
That's what I'm saying.
That's an empirical thing, right? And Downboy, he is married. He's got a hubby. They live in that lovely.
Boy, howdy, is he a good-looking man.
They live in that lovely little historical home in South downtown that he was standing in front of. But yes, he's a very, very good looking man. Gabby's also not unattractive, and
no, she's a pretty lady too. Yeah,
absolutely. And Quevedo's just not right. So it's just not. So yes, that did play a role. And I would never say that a special election says anything about anything in terms of the macro issues or the larger issues of platform that Mahan is pitching, as opposed to true progressives and what we're pitching. That being said, this race had the people who voted in this race, let's just say, like, obviously turnout was only like 15% or 20%, I think, on the high. It was really bad. We expected it to be bad. But those 20% of people were engaged with so much and knew so much about this race and had opinions, right?
Those might be the people that then go out and talk to their neighbors about the bigger election, possibly.
Yes, but in terms of like what it says about Mahan's agenda, because Mahan's candidate, his deputy chief of staff, didn't make it into the runoff, right? And he threw down for this guy. Like he put his stink and his brand all over it. Like there was no way that you wouldn't know that this guy was absolutely just another, a Mahan protege and would just be a lockstep voter. He did that, and yet this isn't like a horrible rejection, but the fact that he didn't make the runoff with all the support he had, and that Anthony was coming at this as pretty much an unknown, says a lot about what people are looking for right now. It says a lot about
how Anthony look, I think. I'm not even lying here. I mean, that like
I don't think you're wrong. I'm just saying that there is also a factor of the message not coming off well. I heard a lot from people who talked to voters who said, oh well, we didn't, when we voted for Mahan, he talked about, bringing people indoors and helping people get housing, but we didn't know or think that he was talking about arresting homeless people, right? That is actually starting to get around now because he's pushing it so much. So people know about that now. And downtown is a more liberal district. It's more people of color. It's more, even the white people are more liberal and progressive there. And they probably weren't all that down with that.
You choose to live downtown where you could afford to live in because downtown's not cheap either, right? It's about the same to live in downtown, like proper or like Willow Glen for the most part.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, some pockets not so much, but it's very diverse. There's a lot of different neighborhoods. Like Washington neighborhood is very low income, very heavy on the poverty, and then you're correct. The downtown core with the condos and everything else is much more expensive. And Nagley Park to the east of campus is a sort of white suburban affluent enclave. So there's a good mix, but remember, Omar Torres got elected here. A gay, young Latino got elected in this district with a very progressive agenda and a very labor-centric agenda. So it's not a district
and
that
not being
profiles.
And he wasn't even a smoke show.
Correct. And so the profile of the district doesn't necessarily fit Mahan's agenda to begin with. So I don't know how much this says about that, but it's comforting to know that the district is profiling the way in this race, at least that it normally would. While it's going to be frustrating for some of us on the inside, I think Anthony has a perfectly wide lane by just sticking to his independent, message, right? That he's not beholden to anyone. He's really there for the neighborhoods, and he also understands all these policies. He's ready to lead on day one. He's young. He's attractive. He's got a lot going for him. He doesn't need to tack. Mahan is the one that's going to have to tack, and already is. Mahan's already the one out there saying, well, I like Anthony as a change agent, and I'm looking for change. And I think the voters are looking for change, and they're trying to push back on the status quo and the establishment. So, he's making every indication that. But is
that a tactical indication because maybe Gabby is possibly like more politically powerful, all things 100%. Considered?
For Mahan, it's not even so much that. It's that Gabby represents the antithesis of everything he wants. Like she would be she's been endorsed by Peter Ortiz, who has already staked out his claim as Mayor Mahan's, antagonist on the council, but he has no friends right now. So now that Omar's gone, Peter's kind of out on his own. He has put his money in with Gabby and with another new young female council member, Pamela Campos, because he needs friends. And Matt doesn't want him to have any friends. So the mayor is going to do everything he can to get whoever Gabby is not elected without endorsing him and without like publicly saying it. He'll just issue the dog whistle to all of his supporters and friends, like send your money, put your money into independent expenditures for Anthony, vote for Anthony, right? But none of those folks are going to endorse him because they also know that the politics of the race look like that would put too much of a stink on him, right? And it would help Gabby. So they're going to do everything they can to hurt Gabby.
He could just say,
not help.
I mean, if somebody you don't like endorses you, right, and somebody you think that's bad endorses you, you could just be like, well, I don't really control who endorses me. I am, I'm independent and I don't really care about other people's endorsements. I'm not taking a lot of money from these groups. And like if people are going to spend money trying to, besmirch my opponent, there's nothing I can do about that. I don't like that kind of politics. And I wish these people wouldn't be doing that. You get out of that like immediately by just messaging that constantly.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that Mahan's going to endorse. I don't think he will endorse Anthony. Right. I don't think he will publicly say anything. Anthony won't have to refuse anything. He's going to get asked about all the independent expenditures that are going to be attacking Gabby. There's not going to be a whole lot that necessarily is going to pump him, right? It's all going to be attacks on his opponent. So he can just run his own race in his own lane and probably get a lot of those Cavoto supporters who they're sexist, so they want a dude. And that he is more of a
but sexism and homophobia often share a canoe. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily. I do think I think there is a Trump factor. Not Trump, the president, but I do think that in some cases it overwhelms. But it's all about the fact that none of the Quevedo supporters, for the most part, are going to go to Gabby. She'll get a few of them, but that lane she does not have access to that lane. She does not have access to Anthony's lane as an independent candidate because she's already beholden to and supported by organized labor. So she has that stink on her, or whatever, smell or scent, if you don't want to think of it as a stink. But everyone else has nowhere to go. The only lane that Gabby has open to her to expand is Irene Smith's supporters, the other woman in the race who was the true independent, who didn't have any money but still garnered, like 15% of the vote because she has loyal supporters. If Gabby can somehow break in there and get Irene's support, tacitly or otherwise, that would help her grow. But Anthony has a much wider lane to grow. As far as his base, and he's also in the runoff now, so his viability is increased. He's going to get more donations, more groups trying to support him, more groups out there supporting him. So he's got a lot going for him going into this runoff. It's going to be a really, really tight race, I think, and we'll see what comes out. I can't predict it yet, but I do know this: like Mahan's going to stay out of it, officially.
The less of him involved in anything, the better.
Yeah, but he will absolutely, and already has started issuing the dog whistle that Anthony would be his preferred candidate, right? He's just not saying it, not saying it officially. He says, I'm looking at candidates, I'm trying to find, the ones who are independent minded and blah, blah, blah. He's saying everything that, Anthony's the better candidate without saying it. So Anthony won't have to reject his endorsement. He will at some point have to, he ought to make a decision about his message. But I think, like I said, he's smart. He's got good people working for him. I think he will stay right in this independent lane because that's frankly what the voters are looking for now, is someone who makes up their own mind, represents the community, is not beholden to any group, because a lot of voters feel like that's the problem, is that we've got these entrenched groups, especially in San Jose, and that's the problem that is preventing us from moving things forward, whatever your policy positions are. And he also has the benefit of being really smart and really good on policy, so the people like me, the white folks like me who are really wonky, and even the people who supported Quevedo who are really wonky and policy driven, they will like that, and that will appeal to them, even if the values alignment isn't perfect. It's just someone that they're going to try. Oh, and all the moms, right? All the moms are like, oh, he's such a nice boy, right?
Right.
That factor plays in.
He definitely play to like we'll call them my audience, middle-aged women. He's playing for the middle-aged women. Absolutely. Right. They might be inclined to vote for the woman, but maybe not, because he looks like such a nice boy.
Right. So, and I've seen that dynamic play out before. So we'll follow this more. I know we got to move on. We have a lot of other stuff to cover on the docket tonight, but these are two of the biggest races we're seeing in the Bay Area right now, and this one's going to be heading for a random ass June 24th runoff or something. June 20th, I forget the date, but it's the last date anyone would ever expect to have to vote.
It's like San Francisco Pride Week and shit. Oh, dude, you know what? It's an omen. It's an omen.
You can mail it in. You can mail in the ballot in a month. So
no, but I'm just saying it's the fact that it's like a San Jose Pride Week. It's a good omen for him.
I'm sure. And like I said, he's got a lot going for him, so we'll see what comes out. It's just going to suck for people like me and the good wife who are internal in the Democratic Party and are going to have to hear all the bitching and moaning about all this little shit. Everyone's going to come up with some little shit that Gabby or Anthony's camp did that pissed them off, and we should support them because they're such an asshole. Because that's how campaigns go, no matter how nice they are.
Well, it's how it is behind the scenes in the restaurant industry. Like it's just an industry, right? Like so
it's not going to. The voters aren't going to see any of it. It's just that it sucks that we have to fucking deal with it, right? The voters are just going to see what they're going to see. They're not going to have to deal with all this crap. We have to deal with it, and that's what makes it unfortunate. But that being said, I'm so fucking glad that Neckbeard isn't part of this, and he will not be the council member. I can say that now, so that's great.
Yeah, and just real quick, one of the things you said about how like the people who are politically active were the ones who voted in this election, and you said how like that's not the indicative of anything for the city, and I think you're right, because Mahan's lane is the people who aren't politicos, right? The people who just will like buy his bullshit about cleaning up the blight in our fine city, and that's kind of all he has to say.
And in other, and more southerly and westernly districts, frankly, that are much more white and much more affluent and much more concerned about their property values. It's crazy you mentioned
like the west side, because like Campbell's policy has generally been more progressive than most of the rest of Santa Clara County.
It's really interesting to me. They were in some sort of weird pocket. They could easily be the 11th city council district for San Jose. They're basically surrounded by us. but they are like their own little enclave, and they act like it too, which is very. I don't know what that is necessarily. If it's just a Campbell thing, where it's.
I think it's just that it's dense, dude. I think it's in some places denser than downtown, and so and downtown San Jose.
I mean,
so.
And the leaders they've elected, they've had, very out, LGBTQ leaders. They've had Evan, obviously. They've had Gasians. They've had a lot of diversity on the council.
Maybe it's just basic, and I refuse to admit that. And basic tends to be progressive.
Might be. But yeah, they're definitely more progressive than like the westerly council districts like 1 or 9 or even 10 to some extent. But it's adjacent to District 9, and District 9 is a very, in San Jose, it's very
crazy because it's adjacent to Los Gatos, which if Los Gatos was a district of San Jose would probably be the most conservative district of San Jose.
Yeah, it's just got to be the water from the perk ponds or something in Campbell. It must be it. I don't know.
I think it's just that it's downtown and there's a community there where people know their neighbors and care about their neighbors, and where people who live in the single family homes mingle with the people who live in the apartments every night in downtown, and they don't have the same sort of view about the denser areas of town. I think is just the way that I think that it's just that it's a if you're from Campbell, unless you're like not really outgoing, if you go out a few times a week, you start to know everybody. It's just the way it is, and that's not San Jose. So
yeah, I think that you're right. I think that does lead to more progressive policy when people know each other and they respect their neighbors and they know them, right? When you know your neighbors, you're less likely to vote on things that might.
You got people in single family homes that are like they don't think the people in the apartments are poor or whatever because they are out and they hear how much your fucking rent is,
right?
And they're like, well, good thing I got in 10 years before these people got here.
It's so sad that people are paying less in mortgages, right? Than like we're paying like a third of what we would be renting the same house for on our mortgage. That's pretty scary. So it's not good for the folks out there. Anyway, we got to move on. We've got a couple more recall stories or down ballot / recall stories to cover. And we're just going to get a quick update here from NBC Bay Area on the effort to another DA recall effort that's happening in Cocoa.
Black lady getting recalled.
Yes, correct. Contra Costa County. So we're going to see an update on their progress outside the Safeway or whatever this is, Albertsons.
Clock is ticking for the recall efforts in Contra Costa County. Some people want the DA out, but is there enough support to get that proposal on a ballot? Here's NBC's Jody Hernandez.
So this is weird, and I was wrong about Alameda County, but Contra Costa County is really a place where nobody knows who the fuck the DA is.
Right. I didn't know Contra Costa County existed. No, kidding.
It's like the giantest Fremont.
Outside a grocery store in Oakley today, asking shoppers to sign on to their effort to recall Contra Costa County District Attorney Dinah Becton.
I signed the petition to recall this district attorney. She's the worst one we've had. She's
oh no.
Paula.
Do you think Paula knows about the history of the district attorneys in Contra Costa County? Could she name 2 other people who have ever had that job?
I'm going to guess that Paula herself didn't even know that Contra Costa County had a district attorney until these guys pulled her over to the table and told
then showed her a
about
photo.
Yes, and sign our petition. We'll give you a coupon.
Oh, that's illegal. They can't give you a coupon.
I know they can't do that.
soft on crime. She says she's for the people, but she's not when all these criminals don't get prosecuted.
I just think that it's a great cause. We need somebody better in here for our safety.
Yeah, but lady, back when you were cool, you hated the cops. You could tell that lady used to be cool. She's 25. She was cool. Yeah.
Fuck off, copper.
Join in one hand, a fucking cigarette in the other, and a bottle of whiskey in front of her, and sitting in front of a bonfire in her neighbor's backyard. That lady used to be cool.
Don't tell me what to do, officer.
Of the recall say Becton is too soft on crime, but the DA and her backers say that's simply not the case.
I oppose the recall because I think DA Becton has worked hard to keep the county safe, as evidenced by the violent crime being at a historic low in Contra Costa.
Becton did not.
Oh, you don't say. Violent crime is at a historic low. You don't say.
To our request to talk today, but she issued a statement on social media late last week. saying special interests want to roll back our progress with a wasteful, misguided recall. They are weaponizing fear, distorting facts, and exploiting victims, not to serve our community, but to push their own agenda.
Certainly, the DAs in California, in the Bay Area, have really become a target.
UC Berkeley research fellow and recall expert Joshua Spivak says Bay Area voters have zeroed in on DAs.
When I went there, Professor Spivak had hair.
Fueled by a perception that crime has worsened. First in San Francisco, then Alameda County, and now in Contra Costa. But he says unlike the recent recall successes, the current effort doesn't have big donors to fund it.
This is the real challenge here. Can they do it as volunteers? Could they find somebody to fund the effort? And if they can't, then they have a real hill to climb.
Oh, she's a bad.
But recall organizers and supporters say they're confident they can get the job done. In Contra Costa County, Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News.
So I don't understand this because, okay, so like Oakley is like a nice, like all these places are like on the other side of the hill from me essentially. And they're all like kind of well-to-do communities. Contra Costa County doesn't have like a lot of, I don't know, like urban areas at all for these people to like dog whistle about, right? They can't be like, oh my God, have you seen downtown Walnut Creek? Right?
Maybe Antioch. Antioch is that in Coco County? Like,
Antioch.
They've had some.
I don't know what
issues.
county Antioch's in. It might be
Concord. Concord definitely is. Pleasant Hill, Concord, Walnut Creek. But yeah, no, I agree.
Danville. Have you been to downtown Danville? It's a shithole. Like, get the fuck out of here. Downtown Danville has two artisan cupcake shops right across the street from each other, and nobody take a shit in front of either of them.
Right, and they're not even they work together. They have like a little festival of artisanal cupcakes every couple months. A cupcake walk. Oh, that'd be good actually. Anyway, I'm getting all sorts of ideas. This effort is more than likely, unless they Josh, the recall. First of all, I don't know how you become a recall expert. That's very interesting. What do you have to do to get that moniker? But Josh is right. Unless they find a major donor, there's no way that you can do this with volunteers.
Well,
I have tried it.
Josh is a professor. A research professor.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Or unless you meant the first guy.
No, Spivak, the guy with he said had hair.
Professor of political science and history.
He is, yes. But in terms of being a recall expert, like what specifically makes him that? But I'm guessing his research has been into recalls.
If Elon Musk gets to be a space expert, we're
True. And this is local news. I'm giving them too much credit. But anyway, he's right. If they don't find a major donor, there's no way to get this done with volunteers. I have tried it. I've worked on, signature gathering efforts, not recalls, but signature gathering efforts for citizens initiatives. If you don't have major funding and you can't afford to pay signature gatherers to go out and do it, there's no way. Like I recall,
just the number you need is just too big.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing a initiative, this was one of the first years I was consulting many years ago. I forget the number. What we needed 40,000 signatures. It was a pretty substantial chunk, and we got. I want to say like we had volunteers, but we also paid a firm. I think maybe 1%, 2% of the signatures came from the volunteer effort, and we had a crap ton of volunteers. We had the whole like library commission. We had all these libraries. It was for the libraries. We had all these supporters in the community who would go out and get. Like grandma would go out and get 5 signatures, and oh yay! But that was still only like 1 or 2% of what we needed to get done. We wouldn't have gotten anywhere near close if we hadn't had big financial backing and been able to hire someone. So yeah, it's not looking good unless they can find that sugar mama or daddy, like the Oakland one, like they're
running out of time.
They are, and they should.
And they can try it again, right? There's nothing to stop them from trying again.
Yes, yeah, but it's just restarting the process, and by the time that all plays out, like there's another election anyway, and you lose the message of we need to get this person out now because she's causing harm right now, right? Then it's up to the next election, and suddenly people realize, oh wait, we have an opportunity to get rid of this person. It's called an election. So I don't know that this is going to succeed, and time is running out. And generally, you would want to have that money lined up before you even file for the petition. You want to have all those ducks in a row. So these guys obviously don't. They are volunteers. They're grassroots.
Very Shasta-like. In its
very much
organization.
So. Very
but
much
this
so.
place is huge compared to Shasta County.
Very much so. So it does not look like they will be successful at this point, but we shall see. Things have surprised us here on Downballot many times in our local politics. So Moving on, in addition to the Oakland mayor's race, there was also a race to replace one of the former council members who got elected to the Board of Supervisors, and we're going to find out the results of that. We actually met this person before, if you recall, when I think someone, like a woman, robbed some or stole some campaign donations or an envelope with some campaign donations in it.
It was
right?
hers.
This was her, the candidate who got robbed. So we're going to see, she won. So we're going to hear a little bit about what her plans are.
She's like, the first thing I'm going to do is set up a task force for the Oakland police to Rodney King, the person that stole our campaign funds.
We will find them and we will hurt them. Make them pay. Public safety first. Okay.
Mine specifically.
My safety. I am the public.
Oakland's District 2 City Council seat is set to be filled by Charlene Wong,
who took decisive leads in the April 15 special election. Tonight, she met with our Jana Katsuyama to discuss her ambitious plans for the change in Oakland. And Jana joins us now live with those details. Jana?
Yes, we took a little walk through her district. Wong says that she received a call from the second place candidate, Cara Murray Bedell, after these results came out last Friday, showing Wong with 59% of the vote and Murray Bedell with 41%.
That's done.
District 2 together today. That includes part of Jack London Square in Chinatown all the way up to Lakeshore. She said that she will be fighting for pragmatic solutions with quick results for Oakland residents.
Uh-oh. Pragmatic solutions.
Center. We would go to that, go to the library.
Charlene Wong grew up spending weekends in Oakland's Chinatown with her grandparents. Now she's preparing to represent the area as the new District 2 City Council member.
Hopefully they would be like, wow.
Wong's apparent victory in the special election with 59% support to date comes with a big task ahead as the city faces a deficit of $130 million and future projected shortfalls.
What I know from just campaigning is that people are sick of just platitudes. What they really want is...
But you just gave us one. You said you want fucking pragmatic solutions.
They want results, though.
Look, this is not going to be an easy job.
Wong says her experience working in government for the EPA, Department of Transportation in the Biden administration, and also tackling homelessness and education has made her a proven changemaker.
I've already been looking up various grant programs at the state level to see what we can apply for to bring in resources. I'm not going to be about just, ribbon cuttings and, showing up to things that, make an elected official look good.
My event's in Jack London Square. You should come.
Want to deliver on some results for the community.
Wong says one of her top priorities on the council will be boosting police staffing and public safety services, which she says can increase city revenue.
Real estate transfer tax, sales tax, business license tax, and hotel occupancy tax. As you can see, a lot of that relies on a thriving economy.
Wong also wants to focus on opening police academy recruiting to more applicants and pushing Alameda County to share more costs with Oakland for public safety and social services. Wong also says she plans to work on clearing encampments in her district and call for renegotiating the city's waste management contracts.
That has our waste management providers not only picking up trash, not only in for commercial and residences, but also is looking at these public right-of-ways and making it as part of their...
No. You don't want the fucking waste management company fucking turning into the homeless shock troops, lady. No.
The same people that bribed Sheng Tao and got her recalled.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's throw in with the Zhongs. Let's do it.
No.
California Waste Solutions, come help.
No, homegirl. Hopefully somebody explains this to her. Be like,
well, see, she's all about partnerships and public-private partnerships to save the city money and, meet their KPIs. Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Familiar.
Oh, no.
Their duties.
She says she feels an urgency to get things done for Oakland residents.
And I think in some ways the fact that I have to run for election again in a year and a half is good because it'll put some fire under my butt, shall we say.
You guys said ass.
Really
shall we say, but.
Things that the community needs.
Wong says that she has a meeting tomorrow with Oakland's Police Chief Floyd Mitchell, and she also says that she has been talking with current city council members, Mike and Claudine, so that she can get a sense of where they stand and also how she might be able to get some of these things through.
Well, she seems very dialed in and ready to roll. When it comes to a timeline, when do you think that she may be sworn in here?
It all depends on the registrar. So there are new numbers that are expected to come out tomorrow, and Kevin Jenkins, the interim mayor of Oakland, said that as soon as they get that certified, he's expecting within 2 weeks they can have her and the new mayor, Barbara Lee, sworn in.
All right, next month possibly. All right, Jenna, thank you.
She's scary.
Yeah. Did you catch at the very beginning of that clip the white dude anchor step all over the the Asian female anchor? It was her spot to introduce, and he butted in, and they had that real quick look, like side eye look. Oh man, the off camera banter must be awesome that night. Anyway,
so hopefully she's just messaging this way because she's like used to being in like a Biden administration or whatever.
Yeah,
and like she gets. Maybe stops thinking about turning the waste management company into the fucking Pinkertons.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure. She's speaking very pragmatically about pragmatism. So, we'll see. Once it always changes, but it always gets real once they're in office and things actually have to start happening. So,
and I think the kind of waste that the company that Sheng Tao was dealing with, they wouldn't be the ones picking up your garbage, right? They were doing more industrial and like e-waste and stuff. Is that right?
No, they do residential. They actually do our residential pickup here at the Good Wife in my house. We have three different companies. It's a nasty web of public-private contracts, but we actually have 3 different companies for our waste, our recycling, and our green waste. That take so 3 different companies come every Monday to pick up our shit. And California Waste Solutions does our trash. You were correct. They also do larger scale industrial, schools, businesses, corporate stuff as well too. So they run the gamut.
I just don't I don't like this public-private partnership to like deal with the homeless bullshit.
Yeah, I mean it's especially like you just want, you don't want them going down there, being the head crackers or the give me your trash, because you never know what's trash and what's not.
Now, I don't know if you found an encampment and you told them to throw a dumpster there, so that people had something to throw stuff in and empty the dumpster. That would be. I think that would be that's to me has always been a better solution anyway. Like people are worried about all the trash. Well, why don't we give people a place to put their fucking trash? I don't think people want to live in trash, no matter how down in their luck they are. I don't think they want to live in filth, right? They want to get rid of their trash like anyone else. So give them a place to put their trash and pick it up every week. It's not that hard. It's not adding too much to the contract or to the deal, the covenant or whatever. It's just part of keeping everyone safe and clean and healthy. And if we really are concerned about getting them off the streets and giving them a better life, we should start by giving them a better life where they're at right now. And that's so anyway, we got to move on, but more to come, and we'll see how the new council member does in the new Barbara Lee administration. Hooray for Oaktown. Oh man, we got winners and losers now. And the first one, boy, howdy, are you we coming in hot with winners and losers here. This is, I like how it says California mayor. They didn't even use the guy's name. Even Fox News
City.
LA is like, fuck this guy. Like we're not gonna give this guy any heat here. So I think we're gonna just let this one roll. Actually, I don't think we really need to introduce this. I think people will get the drift as soon as
get the gist. Yeah, but this is winners and losers, everyone, where there are no winners, and you're going to see why.
The mayor of Lancaster is facing some heat for what he said at a council meeting and how to handle the homeless issue. He suggested.
Oh wait, that's that fucking guy that has a podcast.
Oh really?
That guy on the left. We've seen his podcast.
Yeah. That's right.
Fentanyl.
Spoke to Fox 11
about the homeless issue. He suggested give them all fentanyl.
Spoke to Fox 11 about those comments. First, here's what he said at the meeting.
But talking about homeless, it sounds like you want to kind of enclose all these homeless people in one territory.
And what I want to do is give them free fentanyl. I mean, that's what I want to do.
Do what?
I want to give them free fentanyl.
I can't understand what you're saying. You wanted to get with them what?
I want to give them all the fentanyl they want. That's what I want.
Mayor Rex Paris also says he believes the people of Lancaster stand by him, and there's a reason why he's been elected 6 times.
I'm assuming you're talking about a meeting that occurred over a month and a half ago.
Yeah, that's the one everybody's talking about. You assume. Oh my God.
Where we were attempting to move the homeless population to a abandoned golf course and use it as a camping ground. And the people that lived near it were obviously not happy with that. During the course of the meeting, I think I did say that if it were up to me, I'd be giving them fentanyl. But I made it very clear I was talking about the criminal element that were let out of the prison.
Get out of prison, get free fentanyl. Get out of prison, get no help finding a place to live, and then don't worry, we're just gonna give you a bunch of fentanyl. Don't worry, we'll tell you it's dope. But what do they call it in The Wire? They call it hot shots.
Hot shots.
As they called it in The Wire.
That,
oh goodness.
Now become 40 to 45% of what's referred to as the homeless population. They are responsible for most of our robberies, most of our rapes, and at least half.
I'm sorry, I would love to see the fucking statistics where the DA fucking puts out contrary statistics to this, and then boom, recall time.
I don't care about your 6 terms. We're taking you out, bro.
No, the DA gets recalled.
Oh, of course.
There is nothing that we can do for these people. Lancaster has the most innovative homeless solutions of any city in America. We're very proud of it. We can take care of a lot of people, but I'm talking about the people that refuse those services, the people that want to camp near your homes so that they can burglarize them at night. The people that
I would burglarize the house that I don't camp near. That's just me. If I was doing crime,
I would burglarize this fucker's house. Honestly,
parking lots and intimidate you into giving them money. We call that robbery in a sane society. Quite frankly, I wish the president would give us a purge, because we do need to purge these people.
What the fuck?
I think we can. I think we can stop it.
Yeah, I don't think we need to fucking air any.
We're going to watch the whole thing. Yeah. So if anyone's not familiar with California geography, Lancaster. So if you're going down the 5, right, or up the I-5 freeway from LA, or you're going down to LA and you get to what's called the Grapevine, right? You go up into the San Gabriel Mountains. If you were to veer left at that point and just keep going into the high desert, you'll end up in Lancaster. And it's a town where I absolutely understand how this guy's gotten elected 6 times, because that there is that element in that town. It is very much a rural hick town, as much as you can be in California.
We might call it Calabama.
There you go. He profiles very well, especially with that hat. But yeah, this is a little above the pale, and obviously he's right. They do have innovative solutions. If he's talking about giving them all fentanyl to kill themselves, right? That's a very innovative way of taking care of the unhoused situation.
Innovation is like values neutral generally,
Right. So he's being innovative. He's pushing back on the status quo. So good on him for that. But yeah, I don't know that this is something that's going to go over very well nationally or outside of Lancaster. But again, he's not worried about anything outside of Lancaster. He's just worried about getting reelected there. And apparently you can get elected ad nauseum to the mayorship there. He's got 6 terms. So I'm guessing he'll get another term, frankly, because after this, and he might even win by even larger margins, just given the populace there. But yeah, it doesn't play well here. It doesn't play well on the more mainstream news. So I'm sure that dude's podcast will cover it at some point as well.
Oh man! All right. Well, that was some shit there.
That's one mayor
here. This is, we're gonna go to San Francisco. This is Mayor Ed 10, Mayor Lori, is going to discuss priorities moving forward after a first 100 days in office.
Yes, he's going to take a little victory lap on all that he's accomplished in 100 days. Which is not
San Francisco. Mayor Daniel Lurie is making the rounds at a number of community events today, continuing to mark 100 days in office. NBC Bay Area's Christy Smith spoke with the mayor today about his priorities.
Smoked with the mayor?
Days
Sweet.
And the big challenges the city is still facing.
I want to smoke with the mayor.
God, that guy, didn't he be stuck hanging out with that guy?
I know. Can you see him smoking a joint? I don't.
Today and
no.
Briefly at the Youth Climate Summit.
The future is in your hands. The future belongs to you.
It was one of more than a dozen appearances.
See, he's just passing the buck. At
an event to commemorate the 1906 earthquake. For residents tonight, the question after the new mayor's first 100 days in office is, what comes next? For your next 100 days, what are your priorities?
delivering on the promises and the goals that we have set, and that is clean and safe streets, making sure that the behavioral health crisis is addressed, which we still have a long way to go on, and then making sure that permitting is made simpler so that we can stand up small businesses more quickly, allow those businesses that are currently in business to succeed.
Yesterday and today, Lurie has detailed what he believes he's accomplished so far, calling it a progress report. But there is also some red flags, including new numbers that show overdoses have risen for the past 4 months after several months of declines. The mayor says there's more work to do.
Here's the bottom line. We have a lot of work to do. Still, 2 people a day are dying of overdose in our city, and that's unacceptable. And we're going to do something about it.
Lurie says that property crime
seems pretty low to me.
Crime are down. Car break-ins are at the lowest level in 20 years. And political watchers say it's been a very successful start for the novice politician.
I think he gets pretty high marks so far. He and his team haven't made any major mistakes so far. They've demonstrated a willingness and somewhat of an eagerness to work with the Board of Supervisors, which was something that was missing for the last little while.
Jason McDaniel is a professor in the Department of Political Science at San Francisco State. And
he still has his hair.
Now is, can the mayor keep finding wins amid looming challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is the budget situation. It's a major situation. Cutting almost $1 billion, maybe more if the federal government pulls back funding.
In San Francisco, Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.
I think San Francisco is in like a better place, even with all the vacancies, because there's like just a history of San Francisco of like when there's a lot of vacant commercial properties, like entertainment being the thing that takes over. Like that's what South of Market used to be, all industrial, and now it's like one of the most dense entertainment districts in the country. And so, I think that, San Francisco might be able to do that. But I also think that it might be a situation where this guy is like opposed to that, right? Because that's not what he wants to see from the city.
Yeah. It's, again, he's running up against what San Francisco is and what he thinks it should be and what other people think cities should be in general. And every city's different. San Francisco has a lot of nuance to it, as we know. But I would agree with you. Anytime you can bulk up the creative economy and the entertainment economy, that's going to do infinitely more in terms of reciprocal investment than just about anything you could be putting your money into as a city. It returns tax revenue, hotel tax revenue, business tax revenue, gets people out experiencing nightlife, employs more people that can afford to stay in the city and then spend their tax dollars in restaurants and supermarkets and all the things, and going to sporting events and other events themselves. So it's a reciprocal economy that you're right, merits an investment, but I don't know that. I know for a fact that Mayor Ed 209 doesn't see it that way, or at least doesn't have that at the forefront of their thoughts. At least in lip service, maybe, and just like this mayor showing up at like the at your Buena Gardens at the Arts Institute or the Youth Environmental Movement, whether or not he cares about any of those things necessarily, it's not really in his back to basics model.
That's not like the arts institutes are good, and the city commission for the arts is good, but like if you want like the big artists from your city that draw at the bigger venues in your city, they come from somewhere, and they usually come from somewhere grimy, loud, uncouth, even you might say. They come from open mics and piano bars where like maybe they serve food, but they mostly serve whiskey, and like that's the they come from those kind of places, and I just don't they
have Cheez-Its.
Yep. So anyway, what do the nonprofits have to say about this guy's first 100 days?
Well,
nothing good.
This is what we're talking about. The other side of this austerity is the social services that are. San Francisco, remember, everyone, is a city and a county at once. That's why their budget is so huge. And counties deal with social service work. And while he's talking about a mad game about behavioral health and other things, they're facing some significant cuts to their support of nonprofits that are doing this work. Although it sounds like he's more than willing to get into a contract with his own nonprofit. So it's others that are suffering, and we're going to hear more about it from ABC7, right? So we'll hear more about that from ABC7 about what that means on the ground.
San Francisco needs to find a way to save hundreds of millions of dollars. This week, city leaders will discuss options during a public hearing. ABC 7 News reporter Tara Campbell shows us some of the programs that could face major cuts.
These programs are critical and absolutely life-saving.
Pressure is being put on San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie to reverse course on a handful of proposed budget cuts. To balance a roughly $820 million budget deficit, some local nonprofits could lose more than $9.5 million in funding. Everything from at-risk youth services to free legal services are facing cuts.
It's plain and simple. People are going to die from domestic violence disputes. Our LGBTQ teens are going to be without support.
And that concern played out at City Hall last week. People speaking out at the Budget and Appropriations Committee meeting.
I am a survivor. I am someone who is trying to make something of myself. And when you take away programs for people like me, you cause problems.
Similar demonstrations are expected when city leaders meet again on Wednesday.
I've seen so many community members, in completely desperate situations.
Homegirl on the left looks like she's like a music star from the their late 90s, and she's about to record her music video with just the white background. You know, that classy music video.
Oh, sure.
No. It would be like a piano, like a singer-songwriter kind of song.
Oh, there you go. Like, yeah, I get you. I feel you.
Yeah, anyway,
looks kind of like Kara Swisher.
That's not what this. She does look a little like a little baby Kara Swisher.
And coming through our doors.
At Open Door Legal, they say the proposed cuts would force the agency to lay off employees and close an office.
When we kind of take away legal representation, from people who can't afford it, we guarantee that low-income and marginalized communities will systematically lose their cases, be denied their rights, have their assets stolen, and become homeless. In many cases.
People are really concerned that at the time when we're under attack from the federal government, these exact programs are under attack, that San Francisco, instead of being a leader and stepping up and defending SF values, is doubling down.
The mayor has until June 1st to present his budget proposal. We reached out for comment on the proposed cuts and haven't heard back. Tara Campbell, ABC 7 News.
I think that Lori thinks San Francisco values are just basically the 90s, right? It's a lot of people my age where the San Francisco was fucking booming in the 90s, and they think they can bring that back, and they can't because it's time. It passes. It goes away. And you can't just like wish for it to be like it was before and try to like stop the inertia of time going forward in your city and expect good results. It seems like that's a very dumb and very, what we say, a non-pragmatic, results-focused way to look at things.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I don't know that that's what they're looking. The boom is what they're looking to bring back. They're really a lot of these groups are just struggling to survive themselves and provide the services for the.
Well, no, I mean Daniel Lurie wants to bring the 90s back.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Well, I mean, it's just it's a different world. You're right. And
I mean, he's of a certain age that he was young and was probably having a lot of fun in San Francisco in the 90s and wasn't so worried about the homeless. Maybe didn't notice them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. No, I'm 100% like that. The attitude is just entirely lacking in perception and vision and reality. And these folks live in reality. And she's absolutely right. If you're, the young lady who spoke, if you are taking away power and wealth from people, you're especially people on the margins, you're causing more homelessness. You're causing the very thing that you were talking about, solve, like the number one problem, right? The number one thing we're trying to tackle is the housing problem. And so you're not doing anyone any good. You're forcing more people into homelessness by cutting these programs when you could be reinvesting and investing even more in them. And not so much giving breaks to developers and on their permit fees and everything else to build, have vacant commercial buildings, right? That you're not going to fill despite your desires and hopes and dreams, right? So yeah, it's a backwards ass way of looking at things, and it doesn't take into account the ripple effects on the economy and how it doesn't take into account that people are people; they're not numbers, right? They have lives, they have bills to pay, they have kids to feed, and yes, and they have social services and systems like this that protect them and help them sustain themselves. And when they're gone, they're they're on the streets, they're with their family on the streets, and it gets them it makes it 10 times harder to get them back into housing and back on their feet. So they're begging for trouble with this kind of austerity budget.
Yeah, it's like you're telling everybody that you're going to hire more people to get buckets to get water out of the boat, and then you're like not looking at the bottom of the boat where like holes are being drilled in the fucking boat.
Yeah, you're not filling the holes, right? Like you could keep bailing faster and faster and finding more efficient ways to bail the water. That's a great analogy, but you're not actually plugging the hole.
Or you're cutting the funding of the people down there who try to prevent someone from putting fucking holes in the boat,
which is basically drilling more holes, right?
Yeah.
You're drilling more holes in the boat, and you're making it harder. And then you're going to go and say, well, it's just so hard, and we're trying our best.
We're trying our best. At how did all this water get here?
Right, it wasn't our fault. Someone else did that. We're here to fix it. I'm here to fix the holes.
We're going to design a new bucket. It has a gun on it.
A bigger, better, but it's a robot arm controlled bucket. So even we don't have to hire anyone to do it. We can just have robots bailing the ship out.
But don't worry that the robot is heavy, actually.
Yeah, no, not at all. It won't weigh the ship down at all. So moving over back across the bay to Oaktown, your neck of the woods. Well, we covered this story a couple weeks ago where there was some confusion. Looked like the school board was trying to oust the superintendent of Oakland Unified, but we weren't quite sure. It was all happening behind closed doors. Well, we found out last week what actually happened, and it did actually happen. So we're going to learn more about that from ABC.
That breaking news, anger in Oakland as the school board announces the superintendent is out.
Parents and students questioning why the day after a district milestone, they are looking for a new leader.
The word disappointment is not enough to describe how we're feeling right now, especially how I'm feeling right now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. This decision has been brewing for weeks after the last board meeting, one board member admitting that he likely violated open meetings law by telling the public the board was moving to fire the superintendent.
Whoopsie poopsie.
The board president announced they reached a voluntary separation agreement with Kyla Johnson-Trammell, who's led the district since 2017.
ABC 7 News reporter J.R. Stone was at tonight's meeting and has reaction to this leadership change.
Today, they also refused to vote to protect the district against a strike.
Thank you, Director
And
Hutchinson.
instead, they voted to protect OEA. The same four directors forcing our superintendent out are colluding with other people. So nobody's going to come save us, y'all.
Outrage from Oakland Unified School Board member Mike Hutchinson after this decision was announced by the board president.
The board took action to approve a voluntary separation agreement with Superintendent Kyla Johnson-Trammell. Motion by Vice President Batchelor, second by Director Latta. Vote in favor, 4-3.
That vote for a voluntary separation with the superintendent came on the same night as
they were jealous of her necklace.
Getting out of receivership.
She is being forced out by a school board majority who doesn't know what they're doing.
Johnson-Trammell, though, didn't give any reason for the separation in her thank you note sent out Wednesday night. Student directors say they are confused.
Because we're here for answers and we're here for clarity, but we're not receiving that. We're receiving more disappointment and more confusion.
I know y'all not getting no information because I don't have any information.
Some parents say people should not jump to conclusions.
The kids are going to be all right. They're not telling me nothing, so I know they're not telling you something. They're supposed to tell me something. I'm supposed to be the student representative at this board. They're not telling me nothing.
This narrative around her being ousted is false, and I don't know why that there's one board member who's trying to weave that narrative that she's been ousted.
Others at the meeting were more than upset.
I don't understand it, because just a short while ago you extended her contract, gave her a raise, and then you're going to go up there and discriminate and get rid of her? It doesn't make any sense.
I did talk with at least one educator here in Oakland who told me she still doesn't understand why Johnson-Trammell's salary is in the $400,000 range. But Oakland Unified School Board President Jennifer Bruhard said she wasn't able to talk about
Oh, you don't like her. Did you hear how I said her last name? Bruhard.
Before the meeting. Afterwards, we reached out to her for comment and are waiting to hear back as of this broadcast. In Oakland, J.R. Stone, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going on, but a homeboy that was in the meeting probably knows what's going on, and he's unfortunately not inclined to violate the Brown Act, because this was probably done in like a closed session, so he's unfortunately not inclined to violate the Brown Act.
Yeah, he was implying that the teachers union colluded with their majority that more than likely got elected on the board to oust the superintendent. And if that did happen, it's because I'm guessing the union has beef with the superintendent, and lo and behold, the union is going to be going on strike this week for one day. So there were already friction with the establishment. So maybe this is part of that and some sort of retaliation factor there. I do know it's another black woman getting ousted from a role, so I just wanted to point that out.
I think in Oakland, I think it's diverse enough, and like there's just Oakland in the Bay Area has got the most black people.
That being said, I mean, Pamela Price represented Oakland, and Oakland's the biggest city in Alameda County. So, and that, well, that would happen there. So,
yeah, but Pleasanton
is
also in Alameda County.
Just pointing out the theme. That's all. Just pointing out the theme. But so I do think there's absolutely something going on here that we don't know about in terms of
I wonder why she's not
district
saying
politics.
Anything.
Because she's smart, because she wants another job somewhere else, and she's making good money, and like they make good money. Like the fact, I love this try and label. Oh, she's bad because she's making too much money. She doesn't set her own fucking salary, right? They offered her this money. I'm not going to turn down $400,000 a year to be a superintendent. That's pretty much the going rate at a district that size. Frankly, that's what people are being paid in California right now for that role. So if you don't like that, guess who sets the salary? The board. So they can fucking figure that part out. But
something happened, right? Something happened, like because they voted to like extend her contract and give her a raise like very recently. So something happened.
Well, that's why she's not talking. She's also probably talking to her attorney, and her attorney is probably telling her intelligently to shut the fuck up. Don't say anything. We can sue.
It's always shut the fuck up Friday if there's anything having to do with a court case coming up.
We will sue the living shit out of these people, but they don't always listen. The clients don't always listen, and they blab their mouths and they talk all sorts of shit. So it's good that she's not staying above the fray. Thank you for the job. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll take my last paycheck and go, and then I will sue the living shit out of you for fucking ousting me, and I'll still be in good enough position and standing to get a job in another district and to find another home, right, and find another life, and just go somewhere else and have the same job but with less stress, right, and sue the pants off the old employer too.
And we're not leaving room for the possibility, and it is there. It's a possibility she fucked something up too.
Absolutely, but they did just point out that the district was in receivership, which is where the state comes in basically and takes over your finances because you've done such a piss poor job. And they just got out of like the same meeting. They announced that they were getting out of receivership,
and she presided over
control.
She presided over that. Now I don't know how long she was there or whatever. Maybe. And I don't know, maybe now I'm the conspiracy theorist. Maybe the board majority liked being in a receivership because they were able to fucking fuck off and not like shirk responsibility for all kind of shit because they weren't able to make it some important financial decisions.
Yeah, it's more work for them. Yeah, maybe that's it. Just
I'm not
lazy
kidding.
ass fucking board members.
What if that's what's going on?
District trustee Brewhard is a lazy hoe. That's why.
Fuck.
Now I have more work to do. Shit. And but there's actually some merit to that. Like when I ran for school board and when I've, in my experience working with school boards, most of the people that get on these boards are not looking for work. Like they don't see this as a job even. They see it as an honorific. It's a way to get invited to parties and feel special, or it's a way to, get your name out there with voters and prepare for your run for city council or something else down the line. They don't take this role seriously. They don't understand the power that they have, and they don't exercise that power either. This is really the only time you see it, when they're doing this kind of leadership change. And it's usually personalities more than anything else. It's not for much more than that. Typically, there usually isn't a cause, and that's the sad thing. It happened down here in Santa Clara County, although there were some smoke. Whether or not there's fire, who knows? But it's just unfortunate right now. You've got a lot of rogue elements on school boards who don't know what they're doing and don't have any background in what they're doing and are making decisions like this that impact our kids. So it's a tenuous spot for everyone to be in. But like I said, the teachers are going on strike on Friday, so they were obviously Thursday. They're obviously not very happy about something going on there. So when your teachers aren't happy, you're not going to have a very fun time in leadership at a school district. I can tell you that much.
So I heard the other day that Menlo Park had solved their homeless problem because there was an ADU installed at someone's place, and now it turns out that ADU actually didn't fix the housing crisis in Menlo Park, and so sorry, everybody can't move. They're still going to be expensive.
Yes, and if you can afford to build an ADU and house someone in your backyard, your neighbors will tell you can't because of your neighbor's trees. Apparently,
it's fantastic. This is the most Menlo Park thing I've ever heard of in my life.
It's very Menlo Parky.
Several Menlo Park homeowners are worried about what a neighbor's construction plan could mean for these redwood trees.
Several
considering whether to let homeowners build an accessory dwelling unit right next to those trees. And ABC 7 News reporter Lauren Martinez spoke with neighbors who are worried it could create a safety problem.
So these are sequoia redwoods planted by the original owner. I'm the second owner only.
Remember the phrase several residents, right?
Be at risk if anything were to happen to her massive redwood trees. For perspective, she took us to her backyard in Menlo Park, where the tallest.
Oh wait, it's over. That tree's already right next to her neighbor's house. What the fuck is she talking about?
Just watch.
45 feet.
This one's 6.5 feet in diameter. And you can see the trunk is quite large at the base.
Her main concern is the ADU her neighbors are planning to build just feet away from the trees.
They would remove this and...
well, that's great. That thing looks like a fire hazard.
And build 40 feet along the back fence.
Birmingham received a notice from the city about the building permit on March 12th. Since then, she's sounded the alarm that buildings so close could compromise the stability of the trees.
This one, it looks like the demoing and the construction would go down about 3 feet. And these trees have really shallow but wide root systems that go out very far.
On Wednesday, Birmingham received a copy
of the
city arborist report on the project. It stated in part, in summary, I cannot state with any certainty whether or not the two trees closest to the property will survive this construction. Birmingham and her neighbors suggest the ADU be built on the other side of their property.
To point out, it's not that you and your neighbors are against an ADU coming. It's just the location.
That's correct.
We tried talking to the homeowners about their pending permit plans. We saw someone was home, but no one answered when we knocked on the door.
Imagine that.
The proposed project is currently under review and will provide comments in the next few weeks. In Menlo Park, Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
They said, I can't say with certainty whether or not the trees will survive. That's
in response to her complaint, basically, too, right? Like, so you're not going to, yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. I mean, anyone worth their salt, it's not like you're going to start digging and be like, oh, look, we've got root system. Let's just chop up those roots. Like, no, they're going to be thoughtful about it. They're going to figure out a way to make it work. And they've already got a shed there that has a foundation that goes into the ground. The root systems are more than likely much more subterranean than that already because of that structure being there to constrain them. So I don't see where several residents, by the way, they talked to the one lady who's pissed because it's going in behind her property, and the dude, like her neighbor or whatever, who backs up her claim. That's several neighbors, right? That's two people in the whole neighborhood, right? So I don't know that this is a going concern, and this is so Menlo Parky because of that. It's like, oh, I got a notice about this thing that's happening, and I don't like that idea. I don't want a skeevy homeless person living in this ADU right behind my house. They'll just break into my house. They're obviously homeless now because they can't afford rent in another part of Menlo Park, a real house. So they're going to take this ADU and then they're going to come rob me. That's exactly. They're not thinking about the trees. They're using the trees much like so many people use environmental issues and CEQA, the Environmental Equality Act in California, as a tool to stop any kind of development from happening. That's exactly what's happening here. She's leveraging these poor trees that are perfectly good shape, as the arborist even said. They were in perfectly good health. They're doing just fine. They're very strong. I don't see how putting in an ADU is going to impact the health of these trees. I think this woman just doesn't like the idea of a new structure 40 feet long on her property line, right? That's pretty much all. We would put it over there, right? It's not just a neighborhood thing now. Like, oh, I don't want the unhoused people in a sanctioned encampment in my neighborhood. Put it over there. This is like, I don't want the ADU. Put the ADU over there. I don't want to see your low income, below market rate renters. I don't want
how
to
much. That's going to be like an 800 square foot fucking like an 800 square foot detached apartment in Menlo Park, you think anybody low income is going to be able to afford to rent that if in fact they intend to rent it?
Only if the owner decides, like they're under no obligation to make it below market rate, but only if the owner decides to do it. Unless they've got some, I know City of San Jose has a policy or an incentive program where they'll help you with like 20% of the cost if you guarantee like it's deed restricted affordable rent for like 5-10 years or something like that. I forget what it is, but there's a deal where you can get some discounts for it.
Menlo Park doesn't seem like the kind of place with that deal.
Maybe not. I don't know. But they couldn't talk to the property owner. And I wouldn't fucking come out and talk to them anyway. I know exactly what this is about. If I saw someone from the press coming to my door, right? I knew exactly what was going on. So I wouldn't want to talk to them either or give them any kind of opportunity to make me look up to be like the demon or whatever. I'd rather just have no comment.
Right. You see how quickly they cut some of it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the trees will survive. I think the ADU will go in. And I think several residents are going to have to just eat it, which is kind of nice.
Is there fiber there? I'll DJ hella loud late at night just to piss off that neighbor if they want to fucking hook me up.
Why not?
I don't really want to live in Menlo Park, but
speaking of DJ and music parties and eating things, we're going to move on to, were we getting your shit together now? Are we there? Well, this week, kind of a fun one for Get Your Shit Together down here in San Jose. You wouldn't know it, but there's actually a real deep connection to the music scene, the 60s music scene, and the acid tests and all of that Ken Kesey craziness actually has roots in San Jose, and we're going to learn more about it from this story here on KPIX.
About 6 decades ago, the band that would become the Grateful Dead got their start in the South Bay. And as you might imagine, memories of that time are a little hazy. Len Ramirez introduces us to a pair of historians working to unravel the mystery of where the legendary band got their start.
It's all part of the great mystery.
It's the long, strange trip, right, Mark?
Yeah,
Dan Orloff and Mark Purdy are rock fans.
That fucking tie-dye is star-spangled awesome. Fuck that guy.
And South Bay rock historians, and they've spent 2 decades trying to solve a 60-year-old mystery. Where in San Jose did one of rock's greatest bands have their first ever performance as the Grateful Dead? They thought they had
never going to find that out.
Here, where 5th Street now dead ends at San Jose City Hall.
which would be right over there behind these walls and actually on the site of the current San Jose City Council chambers.
It was December 4th, 1965. The group had just changed their name from the Warlocks to the Grateful Dead, and a friend, counterculture figure Ken Kesey, invited them to play at a house party where he was holding one of his infamous psychedelic acid tests. Purdy, a former sports columnist for the Mercury News, interviewed people who said they were there, and it was inside this large Victorian house.
And for years, that was the accepted thing.
The house once stood at 43 South 5th Street. It was moved in the early 2000s to St. John Street to make way for City Hall. But now a potential rock relic has just surfaced, putting a sour note on the story that it happened here. It is a handmade crayon poster for the acid test party, which was just put up for auction by an anonymous owner who said she removed it from a nearby telephone pole on the night of the party. But the poster lists the party location as 38 South 5th Street, not 43, and the house at 38 burned down decades ago. Dan and Mark have been analyzing photocopies of the original poster ever since it reemerged.
I caught it first because of a news feed. Yeah. And I was like really happy. Oh my God, after 20 years, we're going to see the poster that commemorated 43 South 5th as the acid test. This is actual physical evidence. 8 seconds later, I see 38, and I called Mark, CRAP, right?
Uh-oh, don't want to swear.
Mark went back to the drawing board.
He knew he was on the news. He knew he was on the news.
Can I say but?
Photos with modern-day maps to see where 38 would have stood. And he literally marched off the plot lines to verify, to his relief, that the new location was still within the City Hall Plaza.
I'm still unraveling the mystery of why the poster says that, and everyone seems to say here, including somebody I've interviewed who was actually at the party.
But what could possibly account for the two conflicting locations?
I want to say this 60 years ago,
and people were taking LSD.
The two houses were once across the street from each other, and both locations are still at City Hall. Getting the location right matters to rock history and legions of deadheads.
I encourage anyone who was there that night and remembers anything to come forward and give us more information.
It is a mystery Dan and Mark would like to finally solve soon. Dan is the founder of San Jose Rocks, a rock history group which is now raising money for an historical marker to be dedicated this December 4th, the 60th anniversary of the party and the performance by the Grateful Dead.
It's not just a long, strange trip, it's a wild, strange story, and probably incorporated 40.
The only question is a big one. Where exactly did the trip begin?
Maybe it was in both houses.
So this is a bit weird. Nobody is asking the question, is this flyer authentic?
Right. Like, what is this thing, right? It's on eBay or whatever, on auction site.
Some
it's
auction
a crayon,
site. It didn't look like
crayon
eBay.
poster. Looked like my kid could have designed it on. Although, there's some stuff from the 60s that my kid could have designed. But Kesey also had access to a lot better artists too. I think that could have come up with a better poster. I don't know that was.
I mean, unless it was somebody who knew about the party who was just trying to help promote. Like they didn't know.
Yeah.
It was different then, right? Like
and maybe they had the wrong address. Who knows? Maybe they thought it was 38 and it was really 43, and they got their numbers mixed up.
Right,
but yeah,
they'd been to a party there or whatever. Maybe there's like a rockin' party neighborhood back then.
Right. I can
That's
imagine
why they bulldozed it that's why they bulldozed it, because San Jose.
Oh right, yeah, we can't tolerate that. That's not a clean, safe city. No acid tests here. So yeah, that's a good question Mark and Dan need to ask, and should be asking. Maybe they are already asking themselves, and this is just an opportunity to publicize the story a little more and help them with fundraising. And really, the mystery, has been solved in some way. But either way, it's kind of fun piece of San Jose history, I would say.
We also don't know, did they play somewhere else before, or that there's just
they
no,
did as the
cultural
Warlocks.
residue of.
Yeah, well, as the Warlocks, I guess apparently the timing wise, when they officially changed the name of the band, this would have been their first performance, allegedly. But yeah, piecing together this kind of history is always going to be a little dicey for the very reasons that Mark pointed out. That it was 60 years ago, and people were doing acid.
Just like the cost of promotional material was probably so much higher then too, that there's going to be like less flyers and less.
Well, that ephemera just doesn't stick around either too. It doesn't last. Like paper falls apart and gets lost and wet and destroyed. There's not a lot of stuff left.
And nobody, like
you've
for
been
local
really
bands,
good.
nobody keeps the poster for, like, if there was a poster for like the Ruffies show like 8 years ago somewhere
not
in
at the
downtown,
time.
nobody's going to keep that.
Yeah, well, not at the time. I mean, if you knew that the Grateful Dead were going to become a national phenomenon, right, and have a 40, 50-year run of doing their thing, and we're going to become so popular, you might have wanted to save that, right? Like if they'd known, but no one could predict that kind of shit. Phish has been always really good about their archival shit because they had the experience, I think, of the Dead, and they were always kind of looking to document what they were doing, but also for the purpose of getting better too, and listening to their shows, and and wanting to improve. So. Long story short, it's very hard to piece together this kind of history. My dad himself, I asked him once, hey, you were a teenager and in college in the 60s and late 60s. You must have seen all those cool bands, right? Like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and The Doors and Zeppelin. And he says to me, producer Dave, I think I saw Jimi Hendrix. And I'm like, you know what?
That's the right answer.
That's the right answer. I feel like I would remember no matter how many drugs I was on if I saw Jimi Hendrix play live, but that's me saying that now. Like at the time, who's Jimi Hendrix, right? So, and my dad very well could have been dragged to a show drunk and stoned and forgotten that he was even there, because that's just how things went.
Or he was there to see someone else. Like there were other people on bills and stuff. So
yeah, so I wish them well. I really hope that they get some sort of commemoration. It happened in San Jose, apparently. So wonderful for them. And if it happened on City Hall property, it's much easier to get a plaque and all that done, and the city can even help with it. So hey, that'd be great to have a plaque as you're walking into City Council next to all the pictures of the white mayors, plus the 2 or 3 people who were not white men who've been our mayor. I think it's 3 in the whole history of San Jose. You walk past all those pictures, and then there's a plaque that commemorates the Grateful Dead. That'd be kind of fun to see, but we'll see if they were able to find it, but hopefully they get their shit together and they can sort that out. You like how I tied that back in?
Yeah, it's
all right.
I think I don't think it matters much, but I guess like to rock historians, they're fucking, that's why I'm not a rock historian and they are, right?
Yeah, it's and deadheads are very religious about their shit too. So it is kind of like it would be. I think if I was the city, honestly, if it's on City Hall property, my concern would be like turning it into like a pilgrimage spot, right? Like a mecca for deadheads to come and like pay worship, right, to it, or stage acid tests like in the City Hall Plaza without a permit, right? So I would be worried if SF is worried about the Hippie Hill reunion every year, I can imagine that our city would be a little concerned about this, but it seems like they have council support. The city has been supportive of it. They recognized Dan the other day and for his work, long-time work as a local promoter and other stuff. So they seem to be on board, but I don't know if they understand the consequences of their actions.
So this and another thing story is kind of great. This could have been winners and losers, and the and another thing could have been the last story we watched, but I like that it was like get your shit together, but it's like just find out where Jerry played. That was a lot of fun. And this story looks like it's fun too. It's not an animal, and it's not car versus structure, but it's dumb.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of fun, and it's very downballot-y. So we'll just let it play out, and you'll hear the story.
Afternoon with a YETI mug full of cash, an attempt to bribe an East Bay elected official. This one turned the tables and turned FBI informant.
ABC 7 News reporter Ansar Hassan has details from Antioch.
This mug was filled with thousands in cash, according to prosecutors, in an attempt to bribe an Antioch City Council member to help move along a stalled housing project.
Why would they offer a bribe when they already had, I'm assuming, like so many projects in the pipeline, because they seem to be a big developer.
At the center of the controversy is the Aviano housing development. The FBI indictment alleged...
Oh God, that looks like a place that I'd get kicked out of. The Aviano at Market Street or whatever. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's a place I'd get kicked out of.
Oh, for sure.
David Sanson and his son Trent with De Nova Homes in Concord tried to bribe a city council member with $15,000 in cash. The council member reported it to the FBI. The council member hasn't been named. Antioch City Council member Tamisha Torres Walker says she's glad they refused payment.
I think
it's her.
What shocked
me. It wasn't me. That's what she said. It wasn't me.
The elected official who was offered the bribe reported the developer.
According to the indictment, the company didn't complete all of its required public infrastructure improvements, and that a video recording of one of the encounters allegedly shows the son asking the city council member to place the issue on the city council agenda and vote in favor of moving it forward so they could get paid.
It's a little scary to see like what may be happening to our city in the background, especially coming out of the text message scandal. It kind of leaves you wondering if this is the first time it's happened.
Longtime community activist Frank Sterling Jr. and others are calling for more transparency on future projects.
So that we know what's going on. We know who's coming in, who's developers, how many places are they developing, what was their track record.
In a statement to ABC 7 News, De Nova Homes acknowledged the investigation, adding that David Sanson, quote, semi-retired in 2020 and he's no longer involved in the leadership or daily operations. Sanson's attorney says, we are confident that the facts will show Dave is innocent. Torres Walker is not calling to terminate contracts with De Nova Homes, but is meeting with the city manager to investigate further.
Get a deep dive into how many projects were actually brought to the council through De Nova Homes. What were the votes on those projects?
If convicted, the pair faces 15 years in prison. They'll be back in court in June. In Antioch, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
Gotta be Antioch, right? Can't get away from it.
How do you what the were they bribing the city official for a while? They pissed off the city official and they're like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to the feds.
I'm going to the feds. And it's just funny, like they're calling now, they're like, oh, this guy doesn't even work for us anymore. He's semi-retired. I can't believe he was in there offering
send a
bribes.
Retiree to give your bribe. They might accidentally hand the mug to the wrong crooked official.
Well, that's probably exactly what they were thinking though, was like, oh, well, he's not even with us anymore. He can be our what, mule, right? He can be our
we call this a lobbyist.
A lobbyist, right? Okay, lobbyist, fine. But yeah, no, he can go in and do the lobbying for us, so we can claim plausible deniability, right, and wash our hands of it. And he wasn't working for us; he was doing that on his own. We didn't tell him to do that, well, good on the like council member said, good on the council member for not accepting it. It looks like Antioch is on the right track after all, and with good leadership. Maybe it's the new mayor's influence. Who knows? But I wonder how some of our city council and San Jose and other places would respond to something like this. I would actually be stoked just to just give me the Yeti mug. Those things are expensive. Have you ever tried to buy a Yeti mug? They're
Matt
really
Mahan
good. They're really
would be
useful.
like, Matt Mahan would be like, you call that money?
That's not. I don't see enough zeros in there. But yeah, Yeti mugs are expensive, so I would just take the mug and give the money back. That would have been my call, and voted against them.
You left your money in the mug. Why'd you live? I'll take this. I'm not supposed to, but I'll take your mug. But you left some money in the mug. I think this is yours.
Did you pay with $1,000 bill? Is this like the change you got at Target when you bought the mug? So yeah, I would absolutely. I love Yeti mugs. Those things keep your shit warm. So I would absolutely take that and give them the money back, and then vote against their project. That'd be my policy. But yeah, no gifts, no bribes in general is probably. I get
the feeling that something really funny, we'll call it a mistake, happened to those who were trying to grease the wheels. A real funny mistake probably happened here. Like I don't think that the chances are high, but I think it's 5% or maybe 10% that they just tried to bribe the wrong person.
I think it's 5 to 10% that we have an It's a Wonderful Life situation happening here, where Uncle Billy left the money in the accidentally left the money in the newspaper and gave it to Potter because he was drunk and didn't realize what he was doing. So it could be that too. He's semi-retired, so maybe he had a little day drinking going on. Maybe he had some cash and he's like, I don't want to have this in my pocket. I'll just keep it in this mug. And then he left the mug on the desk of the council member after his lobbying visit and just completely forgot about it. I think there's a 2% chance that happened, but I like your theory too. Anyway, so that's another thing, a little fun story for everyone, and it's only fun because it didn't succeed, right? If it had succeeded, then we'd probably
significantly less fun if it was, and we wouldn't have heard about it because that's how a bribe works.
Oh, there you go. Right. But if it did break, it would have been on winners and losers. If it was a situation where the FBI got involved in ensnared the council member, right, in a bribery entrapment, then we would be on winners and losers or down ballot watch. But in the end, it's another thing. And we're so glad that you stuck around with us, listener, for our every week after the hiatus week always tends to go a little bit balls out. So we appreciate you being on with us and sticking.
Oh, I already have your full screen. You know what to do.
You know it. Producer Dave, thank you so much, as always, for running the dials. You can tune into Down Ballot every Tuesday night at 7:30 Pacific, except when we don't do it. But next week, we will be back with yours truly and Producer Dave running through all the local derp. We hope that you have a wonderful week. Stay vaccinated, stay masked up. Pants are completely optional. You're going to listen to some Audible Smoke, and we're going to come back with public comment on the back end. Have a wonderful evening. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed out outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course. Shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rockin' the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and